Okay, so we're back. It's COMP1011, Advanced Object-Oriented Programming, and it's Week 8, Lesson 8, Part 1. And we're going to talk about some stuff to do to make up for the exam. So what I put together is something called array practice, right? It's assignment number 4. It's up on Blackboard already. And it's due week 10 alongside with your other little assignment, right? Now, you can do this anytime between now and then. It's due in a couple weeks, but it doesn't have to be done in a couple weeks. It's kind of a very straightforward little thing that I want you to do. Now it says using C#, but really it doesn't matter whether you're using C# or in Visual Studio, or in this particular case, what I want you to do is instead of using C#, I want you to use Java and Eclipse, right? And I want you to write 2 small programs to demonstrate your understanding of arrays, right? And what that's going to be is this first dice rolling app. You're going to write an app to simulate the rolling of 2 dice and display how many times each result was rolled. Okay, that's pretty simple. The app should should randomly roll. I'll be okay today. I was doing all this stuff today as a markup and it didn't work, of course. Should randomly roll the first die and the second die, 2 marks, right? The sum of the 2 values should then be calculated, 1 mark. Okay, very easy. Each die can show an integer value from 1 to 6, so the sum of the values will vary from 2 to 12, with 7 being the most frequent sum and 2 and 12 being the least frequent sums. This is just regular probability theory, right? The figure below shows the 36 possible combinations of the 2 dice. This is all information so far. Here's what you need to do. Your app should roll the dice 36,000 times, right? And what I want you to do is distribute those numbers, right? So I know how many times it was rolled, how many times 2 was rolled, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way to 12. You're going to use a one-dimensional array to tally the number of times each possible sum appears, 2 marks, and display the results in tabular format in the console showing how many times each number was rolled. That's part 1. Okay, and that's worth 8 marks. This is a bonus assignment, which means it adds on to your exam. It doesn't take away, it doesn't replace. It adds on. It's worth 10%. So if you want to add on to your exam, you did badly on your exam, you didn't pass or you barely passed, this will add an additional 10%. If you passed your exam and you did really well and you really want to do better, do this anyway, right? It's good practice for you guys anyway. It's for the guys who are hotshots in the room, then just plus 10% for you guys, right? So it's up to you guys if you want to do that or not. It's optional. You don't have to do assignment 4. It's good for you guys to do it though, and I recommend it. Let's look at part 2. Part 2 of this little thing is airline reservation system. This is worth a little bit more marks than the first half. A small airline has just purchased a computer for its new automated reservation system. You have been asked to develop the new system. You're to write an app to assign seats on each flight of the airline's only plane, which has a seating capacity of 10. Very small plane. So display the following alternatives in a menu. Holy crap, a menu? Are you kidding me? I'm going to ask you to do a menu again, guys. Here we go. 1 for first class, 2 for economy, 3 for exit. That sounds very familiar, doesn't it? You must use a switch statement and a while loop. Why? It's exactly what we did on the exam. Some of you had real problems with this one. Okay? Like I'm talking real problems. They don't know how to use scanner. Some of you had real problems doing a menu, period. So I want you to learn how to do it. If you leave this course and you don't know how to do a menu, it'll shame me to hell, right? I need you to do this at least in a console. If the user types 1, your app should assign a seat in the first class section, seats 1 to 5. If the user types 2, your app should assign a seat in the economy section, seats 6 to 10. Use a one-dimensional array of type bool to represent the seating chart of the plane. 2 marks. C, here's the crazy one that people didn't get. Initialize all the elements of the array to false to indicate that all the seats are empty. Okay, so we got to figure out how that works. As each seat is assigned, set the corresponding element of the array to true to indicate that the seat is no longer available. Okay, and the last one is your app should never assign a seat that has already been assigned. When the economy section is full, your app should ask the person if it's acceptable to be placed in first class and vice versa. If yes, make the appropriate seat assignment. If no, display the message next flight leaves in 3 hours. 4 marks. So at the end of the day, you need to do both these little apps. All right, I want them to be separate. I don't want them to be in the same project, right? So basically 2 little sub-projects of this assignment number 4. Hand them in and you can get up to 10% in addition to what you did on your exam to make up for some of your guys having issues with arrays, you know, looking at my code, because I handed you code that you couldn't figure out, some of you. What else? What other problems did I see when I was working on that? What's that?
I know I messed up.
Not just you, man. I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. I'm saying other people had issues, right? Just like this. They couldn't do arrays properly. They didn't understand arrays in Java, right? By the way, this is an array assignment. Please don't use lists. This is not a list assignment. This is understanding how to use arrays, basics, like arrays 101, all right? And that's why we're doing this thing. Any questions on this one? Straightforward. It's due 2 weeks from now. Again, you can hand it in any time, and it's in addition to what you did on your exam. It's not a replacement. Yes?
We hand them in separately, like the two different.
No, I'd like you to do it together, and it's going to be on that one submission. You can make multiple submissions. If you want to if you handed it separately in Blackboard, it's got to be the same place, but you can make multiple submissions if you want. Okay? As long as I have both parts and you indicate in Blackboard which part is which, I'm good. So I'm going to go through Blackboard and kind of go through that anyway when I mark them. Any questions or concerns about this? Because I know some people might say, well, Tom, I don't need array practice. Oh yeah? Okay. Well then, because the average in the exam was low compared to what I was expecting from some of you.
What was the average?
I'm not going to say. So I'm embarrassed. Right? It's low. People made mistakes, big mistakes, and silly mistakes. Like some people didn't do any internal documentation. Example, they don't know what internal documentation is. That's bad. I got a couple notes saying, I thought internal documentation meant it's a file, and I sent you a file that, no, internal documentation means comments, right? So, you know, I want you to internally document your stuff as you go. There is no internal documentation requirement here, but that's like 25% of the exam was internal documentation, and a lot of you didn't do all those piece parts, right? That's crazy. That's like marks out the window, right, for nothing. And part of it was because it's a time crunch. So the time crunch killed some of you because you didn't know how to do stuff in the time you had. Like you had 3 hours and you couldn't assimilate everything. Okay, so to compensate for that, we're going to do this little assignment, do in a couple weeks, and then I'll add another assignment on for the regular course of Flow coming forward. Any questions around this? Again. Not yet. I will. But yeah, most of you didn't do well. Okay.